everybody, my name is Erin and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be taking a closer look at a research laboratory. That's also an aquarium.
Woohoo, science!
That's right, amigos. The Mote Marine Laboratory and Aquarium is a special little place in Sarasota, Florida, where visitors can not only marvel at sights your typical aquarium would have to offer, but get a closer look at the facility's breeding programs, rehabilitation efforts, and of course, these guys. The world's only specially trained research manatees. Oh yes. Now, when I had originally planned on making this video, I thought I would focus on just the research part of things, since there are a lot of exhibits at Mote that you can find at your typical aquarium, and I didn't think there'd be that much interest in seeing a video that's pretty much just a montage of fish. Then a night came where I really wanted some nice quality pasta. So I busted out my pot, I put the water in, I turned the stove on, I willed the water to heat up faster, but it wasn't, so I just kind of started to pace around the kitchen. And all that pacing, well, it really gets a person thinking. And I thought about everything I had seen on Mote and the different exhibits there and the animals and the experiences the aquarium has to offer. And then that got me thinking about if aquariums are forced to do more bad than good, and if touch pools are really the best the conservation world has to offer when it comes to education, and what that means for the future of aquariums in the underwater world, and then the future of everything and everyone. And then my pasta water was at a rapid boil, and I was dipping penne in, and then the idea to create two different videos was born. You see, mateys, the Mote Marine Lab and Aquarium is broken down into two pretty distinct parts. In the first building is where you got all your fish boys and your jellymen and your coral gals, and then you walk across the street to another building where you got your rehabilitating turtle lads, your manatee spuds, and even a room that's all about making babies. Seahorse babies, that is. But we'll save all that stuff for next week. Now, we are going to dive into the aquarium side of things and see what is good in these underwater neighborhoods. So I guess the first place to start would be the layout of the aquarium. After you walk in and pay the entrance fee, which is $24 for anyone 13 and older, and $18 for all those youths out there, you're wandering into a room that is swimming with fish boys. I mean, even for someone like me who isn't that big on the whole captivity thing, I was going off when I saw all those fish. I mean, between this guy and this other guy who I'm not so sure now if he was doing okay. It kind of looks like he's down on the bottom of the tank there. But even that guy, I mean, look at him. He's great, isn't he? And I suppose that's the first thing I really liked about Mote. It's just how much there was to look at. Even though it wasn't a gigantic space like some of these other aquariums, there was still a ton of variety in the types of exhibits and habitats set up, and all the tanks seemed very well maintained and very clean for all the fish inhabiting them. Except I think this one might need to be quarantined or something, but instead of just being filled to the brim with tropical fish, the building is also home to a number of jellyfish. Big jellies, little jellies, bags that look like jellies but are actually just bags, even scientifically produced jellies. And the science doesn't just end there. Mote actually produces a number of aquatic organisms that are all born and raised at the facility, from slightly questionable looking creatures like the toadfish, to more endangered populations like different varieties of coral. And again, I feel that this is something that kind of sets Mote apart. I don't know how many aquariums engage in the practice of aquaculture, but I do appreciate how transparent Mote is about the whole breeding thing, and personally, I think it's much better to use animals that have been scientifically produced and don't know any other kind of life besides that of the tank, rather than take animals from their home in the wild, which unfortunately is something aquariums often do. And when it comes to education, Mote seems pretty keen on making it happen. One of my favorite things about the aquarium are all these different visuals I had posted up, with a particular emphasis on coral reefs. I mean, I didn't know people were going fishing with explosives until I stopped and read this cute little poster about it. And honestly, it's this kind of content that I think can make aquariums places of benefit, rather than just these animal slaving, habitat killing, environmental monsters a lot of people make them out to be. There was even this strange interactive game which had something to do with collecting rings and then using the rings to protect the reefs or something like that. I don't know how effective this was per se in teaching people about the challenges facing our reefs, but I mean, listen, the kids playing the game were focused on collecting rings and not focused on crying, so I guess it's a win. After making your rounds to the exhibits inside the building, you head to the great outdoors where some true magic really starts to happen. While all those jelly and fishmen were great, my favorite part about Mote wasn't anything they had done inside the building, but everything they had done outside of it. There's something very peaceful about admiring aquatic life not under any kind of artificial lighting or ASMR soundtrack going on behind you, but just with the light of the sun and the sound of the breeze around you. I mean, look at this mangrove. Sure, there's some screaming birds and a particularly loud child in the background, but this mangrove, it's doing so well and exuding so much peace that I could only applaud Mote for putting together such a nice series of outdoor exhibits. And probably my favorite exhibit at Mote, excluding the manatees of course, because they're freaking manatees, so they're gonna take the entire cake every freaking time, was this one right here. Ah yes, the lily pads. But not just the lily pads, but this man, who I watched for a solid 10 minutes before I could confirm was in fact an actual living bird and not just a dummy. And what a beautiful bird he was. Ah yes. And you know what really puts the cherry on top of this bad boy? Not just the array of plants or the lovely bird who apparently acts as keeper of the exhibit, but the fact the entire exhibit was built with a purpose. A very clear message they expressed with words, but more importantly, expressed with the display itself. And I think that's something that not every aquarium does especially well. I mean, sure, anyone with a couple of bucks in a fish tank can set up a display, but the problem is that many of these displays don't mean anything. They're eye-catching, they're Snapchat-worthy, but what's the point of it, besides it just being something cool to look at? And if the only point is for it to be something cool to look at, then is the aquarium really doing its job? I mean, I don't have the answers. I'm just here to speculate and share all the pictures of fish I have on my phone. But I think it's exhibits like these that make a place like Mote really stand out. The displays are pleasing to look at, they're unique, and most importantly, the messages they express are things I can walk away with and remember. I mean, who's going to forget this guy? Freaking not me. He's my ride or die, yo. After admiring the mangroves, the lilies, and a few other display cases filled with shells and skulls and sea beans, you turn the corner to find the one thing every kid and that kid's grown parents cannot wait to get their hands on, the touch tank. And this, mi amigos, is where things start to get a little bit spicy. And where I'll be ending this video because I realized after editing like 90% of this thing that maybe people don't really want to hear about the whole touch pool debate. Like they really just came to see what Mote was all about. And you know what? I respect that. So if you are looking for a hot cup of tea to sip on, then lad, you better click on that touch pool video because she is boiling. And if you are ready to take a dive at the world's smartest manatees and cutest alligator babies that you will ever see, then Mote Part 2 is just for you.